Hi guys, follow me on Instagram to never ever miss any of my crazy updates. Hi guys and welcome to another vlog. I am driving this. This is the Maruti Suzuki Grand Vitara and the car comes courtesy of Durga Car Decor to me. Give a thumbs up guys. Look proud, look happy. Anyways, this is the vehicle. Now this is the third generation of the Grand Vitara. The second generation was also sold in the Indian market. We'll talk about it when driving a vehicle. It also gets 235/70 16s and the design of this car is actually pretty good. Still looks pretty nice. Unlike newer Maruti cars which are coming to a different design language altogether, this generation of Maruti cars, rather Suzuki cars, had a very appealing design language which doesn't age that fast somehow. It says Grand Vitara at the rear too, and of course Suzuki badging too. Let's open the rear. Boot is actually very big. There's good amount of storage space on offer and this is a very nice mechanism too. You can just pull it and then close it. That really works well. Now of course it's got a tailgate mounted spare wheel which improves the off-road ability of this vehicle, and the tires happen to be Yokohama Geolanders. Let's get inside the rear. There's actually good amount of space on offer here. Look at the amount of legroom and knee room on offer, which is brilliant without a doubt. There's a center armrest. The armrest size is pretty small. The floor is almost flat. There is storage space here, yeah, with twin cup holders too, which is actually pretty good. And you can see the seat is wide. All three headrests are adjustable. And there is no AC vent, which is kind of sucky. You can see the interior is super black. It is so black. It's so black. I mean, there is no other color. You're lost in black completely. Probably black interiors matter. That's the reason it is so freaking black. That was a bad joke. Storage space here. Power window controls might remind you of the Swift, and a lot of buttons and everything will remind you of SX4 and Swift and whatnot, because they didn't really care about changing stuff. And let's push the seat all the way behind. Let's get inside, and straight away let me tell you, the interior feels nice. It's aged pretty nicely, although it's too blackish, and lot of hard plastics as well. Audio system gets a CD player, and air conditioning gets this sort of climate control because you've got numbers, but it's not a digital display. Of course you can get into 4 high or you can get into 4 low too, so it's got a lot of trickery for off-road ability as well. And there is storage space here as well. Nice, the way the cup holders open is super cool too. Meanwhile, there's obviously an ashtray on offer. This is the handbrake of the vehicle. Things I open, they don't shut only. I don't know why. There is space under the front center armrest too, and this is actually, no, this is not a sliding one. I thought it will slide. Looks very slideish. What is slideish? You can lock the glove box if you want, and that's the owner manual of the vehicle. Dashboard design might remind you of course, the SX4. Let's turn on the vehicle straight away, and there it comes to life. It actually rose to life. Instrument cluster is nice and legible without a doubt. Audio controls and steering wheel is super cool. No controls on the right side and no auto dimming inside your view mirror. The light placement. There's a sunglass holder on the top, and there's no, oh my god, there's a mirror here. OMG, that is so amazing. And there is a mirror of course on that side as well. You see everywhere on the top you've got a handle, not on the driver's side, and of course height adjustable seat belts too, which is pretty cool on this vehicle. But honestly, how is it to drive? Well, before that, let's actually do the wiper test. So there you see, good amount of spray on offer directly onto the glass, not going here and there. And the mirrors are actually, the outside rearview mirrors are big enough too. It's also got a multi-information display here, which is showing you the average fuel economy, 5.8 kilometers per liter. We'll talk about that when driving the vehicle. And it's also showing you the temperature and the clock too, and you can browse through this information. So yeah, this multi-information display is telling you real-time fuel economy. There are buttons here, so oh my god, you can change the time and all. I've changed the time right now, which is kind of rude of me. So the cluster looks really good. It's very basic as such. There's nothing much inside, but you got a massive rev counter on the leftmost, which is the tachometer. Let's get going. Let's drive. All right, we're all set to go. And let me tell you straight away, this is powered by a 2-liter engine. This is the pre-facelift version of the Grand Vitara. The facelifted version got a more powerful engine, a 2.4-liter engine, but this same engine was taken and the bore of this engine was increased. The stroke remained the same, so they went from 2-liter to 2.4-liter in terms of displacement. And this sound which you're going to keep hearing is because of the 4-wheel drive system. Some knob or switch is not working at the moment. Anyways, horn is really very meek for a car which is SUV. It's a full-time all-wheel drive system, and of course it doesn't weigh too much, 1600 kgs, but it's a petrol engine. It loves to be revved, and the motor really makes a nice sound too when it revs, which is a really nice thing. So this 2-liter engine produces 120 horsepower and 170 Newton meters of torque, which means that it has got decent amount of grunt. But when they came up with the updated engine, which was the 2.4 liter, that engine was launched only to comply with BS4 emission norms, and it had 163 horsepower and 225 Newton meters of torque, which was a nice uptake. The result was it was 2.5 seconds faster than this one, taking 11.5 seconds to go from 0 to 100 kilometers per hour. This car is not bad at all in terms of acceleration. The gearbox is rubbish though, it's very notchy. And there you see 6,500 RPM from this J series motor. Yeah, this is the J series. I think this is the J20 or something of that sort. Really nice, sounds brilliant. Mid-range is strong, but the top end is absolutely fanatic. It loves the red line like all other Japanese engines, most of the Japanese engines, of course. The clutch is slightly on the heavy side. The gearbox, like I told you, is kind of on the rubbish side, but it has got defined gates. It only feels notchy, that's the issue. Rest is no problemo at all. The ride is pathetic. It just feels so disturbing. It's always on the move somehow. So suspension is on the stiffer side, reasons best known to Maruti Suzuki, but the handling is pretty nice. The steering does weigh up to its hydraulic unit, but offers good amount of feel and feedback as well. Although I would have really loved if Maruti Suzuki would have given us the diesel option, because it did come with a 1.9 liter diesel engine abroad, which is of course the multi-jet diesel motor from Fiat. Now driving in the city is no problem because the motor is quite tractable, so low end wise also it is very tractable, very drivable, but it honestly has acres and acres of grip. I don't know why the wipers are on the right side, the wipers should be on the other side somehow. But you know, of course, this is a CBU from Japan and the pricing was obnoxious. Okay, I don't remember the pricing of this pre-facelift model, but the facelift model used to cost 22 lakhs for the manual, which was a 5-speed unit, and 24 lakhs for the automatic, which was a 4-speed unit. All the prices are of course on road Mumbai, which made it extremely expensive, but still cheaper than the Honda CR-V by a good 5 to 7 lakh rupees. Yet it did not sell. The reason was multiple. Firstly, obviously the pricing, Maruti's image. Nobody really wants to buy a Maruti car for 20 lakhs, let alone 24 lakhs. Nobody actually wants to buy a Maruti car for 15 lakhs, let alone 20 lakhs or 24 lakhs in that sort. This was the most expensive Maruti Suzuki car to go on sale. Not this, the facelifted version, and then obviously they pulled the plug in 2015. The facelift came in 2009, which had minor cosmetic updates, bigger wheels, 17 inches, and of course some additional features on the inside too, along with a sliding armrest. Is what I particularly remember in those days when I was blogging and writing news articles about the various launches in the country. The gearbox, like, it won't slot into first. It's just like you need to go into second, use second, and then we'll think about giving you first the next time. So you have to ask for permission, which is kind of very restrictive. However, the grip levels are absolutely fanatic because obviously it is an all-time four-wheel drive system, which also leads to a lot of fuel consumption from this vehicle, and that's the reason that MID sometimes shows 5-6 kilometers per liter. One of the reasons why the Maruti Grand Vitara did not become such a massive success in the Indian market was the fuel consumption, the high price, the Maruti image. Actually, there are multiple reasons, not one of the reasons. There are a million plus one. The car is really very nice. It's unlike what we see from Maruti Suzuki because the build seems good. Even a car which is so old does drive so well. This is like 13 years old, I believe, and has done like 54,000 kilometers. Doesn't feel its age at all. That's how brilliant cars imported from Japan are. What's the asking price for this car?
This is around 4 lakh.
Around 4 lakh rupees for this car still makes a lot of sense, because for the price of a new Alto, you can get something which is so freaking brilliant, what am I saying? Brilliant, but a fuel guzzler nonetheless. Horn is what actually is the voice of the vehicle. Actually, it's the exhaust note. The punch is real, the punch is nice, mid-range is strong, but refinement levels are good in lower down the rev range. You rev it past, I think, 3,500 RPM, and then it becomes super vocal. The ride is really bad, somehow really stiff. This car is obviously made for off-roading, so similar to the Gypsy, whose ride is very stiff. Obviously you can't compare to the Gypsy because the Gypsy's ride is absolute crap. This still is way better, but still on the stiffer side, and there's this vertical movement which happens at higher speeds. High speed stability is good. I love manual gearbox cars. It's so much fun driving them. It's just an entirely different feeling altogether. Especially a high revving petrol engine SUV means that either you have to rob the bank or you have to own a petrol pump, because it's so expensive to run this vehicle. And Maruti did the brave thing of launching this as a CBU when they could have easily manufactured it in India and changed the image by pricing it attractively and give it a diesel engine as well. But they decided no. Why not take the easy route and give people something which required very less effort? Just go to Japan, import it as a CBU and bring it in India as a competitor to the Honda CR-V. The CR-V obviously sold much better because much more refined, more more road oriented vehicle. This is more off-road oriented. Now this is of course the third generation pre-facelift which I'm driving, and the second generation was also launched in the Indian market. It had, I think, a 2.7 liter engine or a 2.5, I'm not sure about that, but it was a V6 motor. Yes, a V6 engine was offered by Maruti Suzuki, and it was known as the XL7, Grand Vitara XL7. That was on sale as well. Now of course the Vitara brand has gone further. I'm not talking about the Vitara Brezza, because Vitara Brezza is not really an SUV. It's not really, nahi, matlab bilkul nahi SUV, because it's just a jacked up hatchback with front wheel drive. This is what an SUV should be. All wheel drive, full time. Of course it guzzles fuel. I am not used to driving a Maruti car with the stocks on the opposite side. That's just not me. And making a quick overtake, no problem. Downshifting is the most pleasurable thing in this car, because once you downshift, once the car hits the mid-range, it really pulls strongly, and it pulls so strongly that it propels you ahead. And every time it propels you ahead, every time it accelerates with that gusto, you feel lighter in your pants. Why? Because your wallet starts draining the money which you're going to be paying for fuel already. And which side is he moving from? That's kind of crazy. Here we are in first gear. Come on, motor, give me the punch. That is vocal. That's a lot of sound. And that is the beauty of driving a petrol-powered, gas-guzzling SUV. This is the Hummer H1 of the Maruti Suzuki lineup. Not in terms of off-road ability. It's very capable off the road. It's got a central diff as well, and it's got a low range transfer case too. So in that sense, it's extremely capable of a vehicle, but then at the cost of drinking fuel, and people don't mind it at all, because yeah, it's a Maruti Suzuki at the end of the day. Fuel consumption might not matter as much as resale value, and this car is still holding on to a great resale without a doubt. And around the corner, you see, steering is very direct. Some offers feel and feedback. High speed stability is good. Only thing is hit a bad patch and that vertical movement can get to you. So guys, this is my vlog of the Maruti Grand Vitara. If I have said Vitara Brezza to this car instead, just slap me in the comment section, because I might have made that mistake and I'm very guilty about it. And that's the end of this vlog. Bye bye.